Donald Trump doesn't know how the US dollar works. And Donald Trump is throwing a brick at BRICS. To have your attention, you're on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. I'm Michael Popok at the intersection of law, politics, and foreign currency exchange and the world economy. Let's break it down for you. First of all, Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He just posted, because he did a series of social media posts about tariffs. I'm going to do a tariff on China, Canada, and Mexico. I'm going to do a tariff on our European allies. I'm going to do a tariff. Now, the new one is I'm going to do a 100% tariff. He's not even in office yet, by the way. Like, shut the you-know-what up. Sit down. Think more coherently about your global economic policies. Let your Treasury Secretary, your Commerce Secretary, your trade representative all get in a room with you and advise you, and stop posting by social media, because all you're doing is devaluing the dollar. Now, part of what Donald Trump wants to do, by the way, is devalue the dollar. He's a weak dollar advocate, not strong. He thinks it helps him with his trade deficits, right? The cheaper the dollar is, the more people buy our products, and you see where this is going. It doesn't help you when you want to buy something abroad or you want to buy something with your personal economy, but it helps Donald Trump with his trade deficit problem. So he went after, over the weekend, BRICS. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, they got together because they're emerging markets. They're not first world. They're more like second and third world, even China and Russia. But they do have muscle together. Together, they represent 25% of the gross domestic product in the world, meaning 25% of the economic output, if you will, is coming from these countries. It pales in comparison to the United States, but they got together for that. They also have a lot of dollars that they hold in their central banks in their reserves to help balance and stabilize their own economies. So they also represent, that group, BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, represents 40% of the dollars that are held in among governments and sovereign wealth funds and sovereign holdings and sovereign banks. 40% of it is held by these five. So they have some economic power. Now, the reality is that the US dollar is still dominant. There is a foreign exchange market that is listen to this, that daily trades. $7.5 trillion gets traded in foreign exchange. I have a little bit of a background in it. I worked for a Wall Street company. They had a reasonably successful FX, foreign exchange trading desk. And that's basically when you take usually pairs, where there might be a butterfly where there's four currencies. Usually US dollar is always one of the currencies. It's being compared to another, the dollar against the peso, the dollar against the yen, the dollar against the Brazilian real, the dollar against the rupee, you name it. There's also, and then it could be against three or four, like a parlay in sports gaming. So you have that. And people bet on that and the arbitrage of what's going to go up and go down versus each other. Not just peso by itself. Well, what's the value of the peso today? What's the peso versus the dollar? So that has been going. That's a $7.5 trillion a day market, okay? And of that, just so you get a sense of it, 90%, 90, of that $7.5 trillion is conducted in US dollar as being one part of the trade. All right, the dollar is dominant as a world currency, because it has liquidity. It's easy to get, it's easy to liquidate, it's easy to spend. It has the backing of the US government, which people generally like. It is therefore, because of the stability and liquidity, a leading currency in trade. The language of trade, they always say the language of foreign policy is whatever the home country is, and French. The language of trade in the world is the US dollar. So Donald Trump going after BRICS, who, by the way, didn't even say what he said. What he said they said. He said, if they get together and try to replace the US dollar with some other currency, we're going to impose a 100% tariff on them. Let's stop right there. You're going to impose a 100% tariff, Donald Trump? You really? On China? On Russia? On India? These emerging markets. American manufacturers and technology companies are drooling over these emerging markets. They want in, U.S. cigarette manufacturers tobacco companies don't make cigarettes in America anymore. And they're willing to get out of the market completely and replace it with vape. But they're selling cigarettes hand over fist in India and China. They're addicting the rest of the world. So they don't want Donald Trump tampering with Brazil, 190 million people. China, 3 or 4 billion people. Russia, India, right? And South Africa, right? All of the emerging markets where all of our companies want to be. Let's F with them, start a trade war on 100% because you think they're forming a currency. They're not forming a currency. They want to trade more in their home countries. They want to wean themselves a bit off the dollar. But that does not require Donald Trump to create a nuclear bomb to blow up our trade relations, which represent 40% of the dollar reserves and 25% of the worldwide GDP. Now, even his own people don't believe Donald Trump. Steve Bissett, who's going to be the new Treasury Secretary, said, no, Donald Trump's a free trader. These are just, he escalates in order to de-escalate. Let me translate that. He lies about the threat of the tariff in order to negotiate to some other place. And, everybody jumps up and down on the Republican side. Oh, he brought Canada and Mexico to its knees. Did he really bring Mexico to their knees? And given the fact they've got major manufacturing on the Mexican side of U.S. manufacturers like GM and Ford, and if Mexico retaliates in a trade war, there could be 500,000 jobs lost in America right off the bat, and an increase in prices. Did Donald Trump really win that trade war? Sure, Trudeau, because he's weak in Canada, came and kissed the ass of Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago, and the optics were terrible. But I'm not as concerned about Canada, even though because the trade deficit is very small in Canada. Donald Trump's like, there's a trade deficit. Sure, it's like $80 billion, which in the context of, a $900 billion trade back and forth between the two countries is minuscule. That is not our problem. China's trade deficit is tremendous, but fighting them over currency and imposing a 100% tariff is just going to kill the American economy. And that's why I said even his own people don't believe that. That he uses it, Ted Cruz, he uses it strategically. Okay, that means he lies. And Donald Trump thinks that we don't know, that the world economies and world leaders don't know he's lying. Oh, what did Donald Trump do today? 100% tariff on us? Okay, let's say he'll get some free press. He'll shake his tambourine. He'll get his people to think he's done something for it, and then he'll never do that in a negotiating table with us. And that's sort of what the reaction is. But it just shows you how Donald Trump is willing for his own ego to destabilize the world economy, and destabilize his own dollar in order to win a news cycle. And again, returning traders, get ready. Traders on Wall Street and around the world, get ready. Because you're going to have to read every social media post now that Donald Trump does, because he's going to conduct foreign policy, monetary policy, economic policy through Truth Social posts. If you thought that's unsavory and something we don't want in the form of a president, then you shouldn't have supported him so strongly. But the reality is Wall Street and brokers and traders, they like volatility. That's the dirty little secret. It's one thing I learned on Wall Street. Stability is not something where brokers and traders make money, right? They make money from volatility because they're making it on the trade. More trades, higher velocity of trades, higher volume of trades, more volatility in trades, the more the broker makes, because he's not putting up his own money. The broker is generally not playing with house money. In fact, by regulation, they can't. They're brokering, or broking, as they say in the UK, other people's money. And they're making the VIG, they're making a fee, they're making a commission. There's a schedule of what they're making on every transaction. So volatility is the friend of brokers and traders on Wall Street. So that's why they supported Donald Trump. What is going to create more chaos and volatility than Donald Trump in the world economy? You just need to know how to play it right. And that's why Wall Street surrounded themselves around Donald Trump, because they're all going to make money with Donald Trump. Once they figured out his economic policy, whatever that is, and they invest around it or short it or long it and make the money on the sale, if you're in a brokerage or trading environment, there's a no-brainer. They don't want stability. It helps you and me. It helps the average American to have stability in world economy, stable, no inflation, no dollar war, no tariffs, no trade war. It helps us. Doesn't help them. And that is the big disconnect, right? That's where there's a disconnect between, what, or a mismatch between what helps Donald Trump and his billionaire and trillionaire friends and their businesses and what helps the average American. We'll continue to follow it all here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Hit the YouTube button, the free subscribe button. Sometimes I call it the YouTube button. And then make sure you're here regularly on the Legal AF channel in collaboration with Midas Touch. So until my next hot take, and by the way, I'm doing a live now, Popok Live on the Midas Touch Network every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. It's me doing live and updates that are important that you should know before you leave Tuesday night. So come join me Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on the Midas Touch Network, and then for all the other content right here on the new Legal AF channel. Until my next report on Legal AF Matters, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.